Hi, everybody, and welcome to Thriving Through the Holidays. And today is a special treat. I have with me today my mentor, friend, and Dr. Wayne Scott Andersen. And just a little history here before I hand this over to him. Dr. A, as we call him, is the best-selling author of Dr. A's Habits of Health and also Discover Your Optimal Health. He is the co-founder of Optavia, and he's also the medical director. And he comes with us today as someone who started as a highly credentialed doctor doing big things in the medical world and decided to work and go in a different direction and change what we look at as changing the whole complexion of our country. So Dr. A is here today as a treat for all of us on Thanksgiving Day. And so everybody, let me introduce you to Dr. Wayne Scott Andersen. And Dr. A, thanks for being on with us today. Much appreciated.
Hey, man, my pleasure. And welcome, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. It's a great time of year. It's a time to be grateful for all the amazing things in our life. And one of those things is our health and our well-being. And so today, I'm just going to share a little bit about that, about some of the things you may have thought in the past that may have held you up from really moving where you want to in your future. And one of those is our story. You know, we have a story that we receive as we're growing up from about the age of 2 to 7. We're absorbed like a sponge, everything that happens around us. We have a vivid imagination, and the prefrontal cortex, the area in the front of our brain that's necessary to truly make logical deductions from the things that are around us, isn't quietly or formed at a complete level yet. And because of that, we absorb this information and we build belief systems. Now, as we move and get older, some of those belief systems serve us, but some of them don't. And then we get to the point in our life when it's kind of the default mechanism when we kind of always go back. We want to change, but we always go back to the comfort zone, you know, kind of like sucking our thumb and grabbing our blanket. So one of the things I want to talk to you today is about building a news story. You know, where you are in your life doesn't mean that's where you need to be moving forward. And the most important thing is to kind of, if we unstrip that story we have that makes us all unique, the experience of being a kid, how you were brought up by your parents and what kind of teachers you had, what kind of friends you had, all those things enter into what we program in ourselves and what becomes the standard, or what I like to call the operating manual by which we look at the world, or the world according to us. And actually, if you really look at that, that's probably the one thing that's holding us back more than anything else. And so what I found is if we can kind of remove that story and look at the brain and look at the mind and look at our relationships, it really isn't that difficult. And I'm, as Matt said, I wrote a book called Dr. A's Habits of Health 10 years ago now. And I've been studying that since the time I wrote that book. And I didn't really want to write the next one until I really kind of got to the next level of understanding how we change. And the key thing that changes is right in that title, is habits. Habits are what transform us. Almost 50% of what we do on a daily basis are things that are automated. They're things that are in our mind, in our basal ganglia, in the base of our brain, that make us chunk behaviors and do the same thing over and over again. So bottom line, you get up in the morning and you have that routine. You know, you brush your teeth. You probably don't know which hand you use. You drive to work. You probably don't even remember going, because all that is automated. And some of those things serve us well, because if we didn't have habits, think about that. Every day we'd have to wake up and redo everything. And that would be pretty bad. And the other thing is changing our habits to the habits we want takes time. And it has to kind of be reprogrammed. Well, we want that to happen, because imagine if you got up because the dog barked at 3 o'clock in the morning and that instilled a new habit. And now every morning you got up at 3 o'clock. So, you know, the brain and the mind work specifically for a certain way. It's the logical way that makes us work our best. It just happens to be programmed for 10,000 years ago. And a lot of the things we do now don't really fit into that initial program. So one of the things in what I'm doing in the Habits Health 2.0 is actually looking at reprogramming and looking at how do we adapt ourselves. And it really comes down to our habits. It's the things we do day in and day out every day that make the difference. So let me give you an example. Here's a habit right here. My alarm clock just went off and my phone just activated automatically because Siri thinks she knows better than I do what I'm doing. So bottom line, that's a habit of the phone. And those are built-in robotic things that we do. So one of the things I talk about a lot is stop, challenge, and choose. In our everyday life, there's so many times when we sense something and most of us respond to it automatically. It could be in our relationships, in a conversation, in being stressed out at work and suddenly grabbing the M&Ms that are on the counter. So it's really important to build awareness. And so the first step in actually reprogramming or building a new life story or your optimal health story is about awakening yourself, putting yourself in position to stop when there's a trigger or something that activates you, a cue, and then making a choice that moves you towards what you want. So that really starts with leading from the future, acting in the now, which is a leadership habit that I use with our coaches and our leaders, because it's so important to know where you want to go. So one of the things for all of you on this Thanksgiving Day is to kind of think, okay, depending on what time you're watching this, but you probably have a day ahead of you with a target-rich environment. There's going to be a lot of food around you. So listen, those tastes are great. Maybe your mom or your grandmom is going to make their special pie or their special dressing. And all those things taste great. And that ritual is important because it's part of the socialization process. I'm going to give you a couple facts that may help you through that day specifically. One is 95% of our taste satisfaction comes in the first 3 bites. The second thing is by actually eating beforehand and having a logical meal in the morning or at lunch or wherever before you go, either you're going out or you're preparing. Bottom line is have a normal lunch. Don't say, well, I'm not going to eat breakfast or lunch today so I can really not eat too many calories. So then I can basically go into Thanksgiving dinner and eat everything I want. That's not what you want to do. You want to go through your normal routine, let your normal blood sugar levels and things that you've been working on with Matt and the team here, make sure you're eating normally. And then when you go, fix a plate, go up, get the plate, take the plate away. Okay, don't sit there in an area where you can keep loading up your plate. And then take your plate away and then just a couple things. Chew 15 times each one of that savory grandma's dressing. When you do that, you slow down and you really taste and you'll absorb the flavors, be around the people, drink lots of water, drink club soda or something that is bubbly, that gives you kind of a feeling rather than having a bunch of alcoholic beverages. All those things can be modified to still fully enjoy your day and break those cycles where we think we have to drink a lot or we think we have to eat a lot because it's mom's pie and I only get it once a year. So, Matt, I don't know. That was just a little off the cuff, but I can tell you that people can take control, and together, and I love what you're doing as a community, we can create a new way of living and acting on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Dr. A. Much appreciated, and I can speak from personal experience. I started using Dr. A's Habits of Health. I did the program, I used the habits, I applied the habits, I've lived those habits, and my health today, 8.5 years later, is better than it was, and my weight is maintained. Overall, my health is so much better today. Just follow the roadmap. So for all of you out there, down in the thread, I'm going to put in here a free little ebook called Stop, Challenge, Choose. And take advantage of it, go in, and that'll lead you, that'll start a path of learning that will be amazing. And the person that invited you on here, reach back out to them and explore this a little bit more. Dr. A, I cannot begin to thank you enough for the time you've taken today. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And to the rest of you out there, have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. And thanks for taking the time to join us today here on our special page, Thriving Through the Holidays. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.